You know, I've wasted a lot of time. In 2024, I'm going to be 49 years old. I started playing guitar when I was 16 years old, so that's 33 years that I've been playing. And I really feel like in that time, I'm not as good a player as I'd like to be. And it's only really in the last 4 or 5 years that I've improved. And that's as a result of someone else giving me mentoring and coaching and showing me that actually being a musician and being a guitarist, it's not just about practicing chords or scales or technique. There's much more to it than that. A really important thing to understand is that you are what you practice. Now that might sound obvious, but actually if you only practice chords and scales, then that's what you'll be good at. If you want to be a good songwriter, you need to practice songwriting. If you want to be a good performer, you have to practice performance. There are good habits to get into. There are things that you need to do regularly that's more than just playing the guitar. For 2024, what I want to show you are 5 habits to sort of bear in mind and get into a good routine of doing. So, number 1 on my list is to set goals. Make sure that your practice sessions are structured. Don't just sit down and mindlessly play the guitar. That's what I did for years and years and years, and I got nowhere doing it. Often I was playing things that I'd learned incorrectly, so all I was doing was practicing my mistakes, and I wasn't getting anything beneficial, nothing structured, no real progress or development because I wasn't setting myself goals. So to do this, set aside 15 minutes per task in a practice session. So if you've got an hour free, set yourself 15 minutes to do chord practice or scale practice or whatever it is that you need to do. Set yourself 10 or 15 minutes to practice your chord transitions in a particular song that you're learning at the time. Set yourself a goal to record yourself and then critique your recording. We'll talk more about that in a minute actually. Okay, but it's really important. Make sure that your practices are structured and that you have some kind of focus, and that's when the real incremental improvements will start to happen and you'll notice a big difference. Number 2 on my list is to learn songs and build your repertoire. Again, I spent so much time wasted learning parts of songs. I think as guitarists, as electric guitarists especially, we love learning a lick or a riff, something that we can show off, the part of a song that's instantly recognisable, and it's quite nice and good fun to learn that. But actually, what about the rest of the song? This used to happen to me when I was younger. I would tell people I play guitar and I'd play them the little thing that I knew, and then they would say, okay, well, can you play the rest of it? And of course I couldn't. And then someone else would pick up the guitar and they would play a very simple 3-chord song. They'd sing it all the way through and perform it really well, and everyone else would think they were wonderful. And of course they were wonderful because that person had spent the time to learn the song and they were able to perform it. They'd kept it simple, but they'd done a really, really good job. So learn songs, build repertoire. The other thing about learning songs all the way through is you learn about the structure of songs. You learn about how songs work. You learn about how they're arranged, the different instruments that are used within them. And also the thing about learning a song as well, it forces you to make the transitions. Songs often have, especially rock, pop songs, whatever, with guitar in, electric guitar in, you might have a riff for a verse and then a change to a new section in the chorus, and actually often it's the transitioning from one section to another that's quite challenging. You've got to move to a different part of the fretboard, you've got to keep timing, and you've got to get your fingers right in the right place and go straight off onto the next part of the song with no fluffs or fumbles. So getting that right is a challenge in itself as well. So learning the song all the way through is a great way of improving your technique as well as building your repertoire. Number 3 on my list is record yourself and then listen back and critique yourself. There's a funny thing about the human hearing and the human brain. When you're learning a skills-based task, your brain tends to tune out external noise. It wants to concentrate and focus on the task in hand, especially when it's a new task. If you ever see someone learning to drive, then obviously you don't want to put them off and they've got to concentrate, but you'll find if you talk to them, they can't hear what you're saying. They're concentrating so much on the task that they can't hear things. And the same thing happens or can happen with guitar playing. Believe it or not, obviously it's a musical thing, we're using our ears, but you'll be surprised what you can't hear when you are playing and learning something new. A mobile phone recording is absolutely fine. Record yourself playing and then listen back and then critique yourself. Be kind to yourself, but also be honest. Are you playing in time? Are you playing clearly? Are you playing all of the notes correctly in the correct order? Is there a nice pulse? Are you getting the structure of the song correct? A common problem that I've had before is getting an incorrect number of beats in the bar. Inadvertently, I'm playing three beats in a bar before moving on to the next one when there should be 4, or I might even be playing 5 or 4.5 or whatever. A metronome, of course, is another great habit. That's not on my list, but definitely something to incorporate into your playing as well, is using a metronome to overcome that issue. But record yourself. Does the song sound nice? If you're singing, is the singing correct? You need to think about your voice technique, etc. I'm not a vocal coach. I'm not going to try and talk too much about singing, but certainly singing and being very honest with yourself and working out whether the piece of music is even actually very musical. Okay, record yourself, critique, and then come up with some improvements and build that into your practice. Number 4 on my list is arrange songs. Now, this might sound like a bit of an odd one, but it's surprising the number of people who don't think about changing, rearranging a song to suit their voice, their style, their band, or their acoustic duo, or whatever the situation is. I've played in bands where I've had singers who can't even overcome changing key. They want to be able to do the song exactly as per the original studio version. And if you can do that, then that's fine. But on the other hand, it's a really useful skill to be able to rearrange a song and rework it such that it suits the vocalist's voice, or it suits your guitar, or it suits the band, or whatever. The original song might have a horn section, whereas your band that you're playing in doesn't have a horn section. So how are you going to play those sections? Can you rearrange them as parts on the guitar? It doesn't have to be complicated. It can be fairly simple stuff, but have a think. You might have to use some creativity, and you've got to be able to understand the basics of the music and rearrange those parts. Make them work. Play around with it. You don't have to be a slave to the original song, and you don't have to be sort of scared of it either. Play around with it. Come up with a version that suits you. That's your version. That's absolutely fine. And often it's more refreshing to hear someone else's interpretation, someone else's arrangement and version of a song. That's often more successful than listening to someone trying to do an exact copy of an original and not do it very well. Okay, so arrange songs, really good technique and an important skill. Number 5 on my list is to make effective use of tab. Guitar tablature is a great thing. It's a fantastic tool for learning guitar parts, learning solos, learning riffs, learning whole songs. And also a really important skill as well is to be able to write your own tab. There's some great software. Guitar Pro software is great for writing your own tab, or it might be that you just do paper and pencil version of tab. But the other thing is, I found in the past that I learned tab really inefficiently. I would buy tab in books, or I would download it off the internet. I'd be quite excited about learning a new song or learning a new solo, and I would give up. And the reason why I was giving up is because I wasn't using the tablature very efficiently. If you want to learn about how to use tablature efficiently, then watch this video and I'll tell you all about it. Okay, thanks, see you soon.